look who it is.
Hi. Hi,
Gina.
everyone.
Look, everyone is here. You
Mhm.
and I and our wonderful Gita, who is doing some double duty on Facebook and on YouTube because she just jumps right in, that
She
Gita,
does. She does.
and
Thank you, Gita.
never says a word, just does it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. A big hello to so many people have jumped on and are watching because Janice, they wanted to see your beautiful face and
Oh,
your beautiful project, which I
thank you.
just love, love, love. So it's a wrap bracelet.
Yeah, it is a wrap.
It literally is a wrap, and we're going to look
Yeah.
at this in just a second. But I wanted to take a moment before we got this party started to wish you, Janice, the happiest of birthdays. Tomorrow is your special day. There you go. That works ish. That's a try. I don't know. Or this. I don't know. Um, so many, many happy
Oh,
returns
thank you.
and health and happiness during this coming year. And I know
Thank
that
you.
everyone, not only here at beadshop.com, but across the miles, wishes you the same. So
Yeah, that's
happiest
very
of
nice.
birthdays to you.
Thank
Um,
you, and thank you everyone out there for the good wishes, and the nice notes and the good thoughts. Just thank you.
yeah.
And if anyone else is a May baby, I want to wish you also a happy birthday.
Yes, happiest of birthdays. And
And Gita's
Gita has,
Tilka Med Foldsa Gaget Dagagen, JP.
yes, which means I would guess happy birthday.
Yeah,
But
get back to YouTube. This
I'll
is too
get
much for
that.
me.
That's what it is. Well, thank you so much to our wonderful international group of friends out there.
Yeah,
And you made this piece, Janice, kind of in honor of spring and honor of thinking about Provence and travel and things. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you, because you made some discoveries with this. We're going to
yeah.
do some demos. I'm going to demo, and you and I are going to talk about it.
Hmm.
But I'm going to add this piece to the mix here, and let me highlight it.
Sure.
Everybody can still hear me, right? And everybody, we're all good here, I think. We're sorry we're late. As you can see, I'm back in the bead shop offices, and of course, I had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but nothing that yours truly, our IT person, that's me, can't handle. So,
Well,
uh,
first of all, Kate, have you been using a torch recently?
oh, can you see that? No, you know what? I have no idea what I think I am now at the age where I look at my hands and I go, how did that happen? Let me put a band-aid on it.
No, really? Because I think it, yeah, I can almost always tell when you've been at the torch
No,
because
no,
there's
you know what I've
always
been doing? I've been gardening, actually.
gardening. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have
So,
too. It's the
but
perfect time to garden.
it is the perfect time to garden, and this is so reminiscent of of a beautiful garden that I think
Mhm.
everyone's going to love it. No, I'm going to be back on the torch very soon. I was talking to an old friend of both Janice and I was talking to her this morning, and we were talking about torching and making jewelry and stuff. And I said to her, I said, I may have forgotten how to use a torch, but
Mhm.
I
In your
don't
sleep, in your sleep.
in my sleep. So we're
So,
gonna get
Kate, if
back to it.
anyone is interested in your upcoming classes and torch things and stuff like that, where would they go?
Oh, you can just jump over to katerichberg.com and you can find all that info, or follow me. You know, the best place for immediate gratification for not only me, but
Mhm.
also for Beadshop is follow us on Instagram. our Instagram at beadshop.com, or conversely for me at Kate Richburg Jewelry. I'll throw that up there too. You
Good.
can follow me at Bead Kate, subscribe to my YouTube at Kate Richburg. I have a couple of groups and stuff on there on Facebook. You know, it's all a beautiful symbiosis here. So you'll find us kind of cross-referencing each other all the time. But give us a follow on that social. It is the most immediate way to find out about what's happening with us. And believe me, a lot is happening. But without any further ado, Janice, I have your beautiful piece, Dreaming of Provence, right here. So why don't you talk a little bit, because every time you make a wrap bracelet, I think, oh, Janice is just going to make a wrap bracelet. How could it be different? Or what new thing is she going to show us? And lo and behold, here you are with something fresh. So talk it out for us a little bit, and I'm going to grab a couple of things that we need.
Okay. So I don't know, excuse me. I don't know why this happens every spring, but somewhere in the middle of April, I start to love purple, and especially purple and yellow together. And it reminds me of the beautiful pottery and ceramics that are from Provence, the beautiful mustard and blue patterned linens,
Yes.
the fields of the purple lavender, the yellow mustard, just that whole area where so much of the scents and the flowers of France come from, the perfumes. Oh, I don't know. Excuse me. But this was something where I just started with that. I love those wheel buttons in glass,
Yeah,
and
the
they're just a
wheel is
rarity to get them in. Yeah. And so we've had the purple one back in, and I said, I want to use that. I haven't made a wrap bracelet in quite a while. I'm going to use that as inspiration. And then I just started with, my favorite spring colors. I grabbed, my yellows, the 11, and I like using 11s when I do wrap bracelets.
You sure do. And
I do.
I think, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I will tell you, I shy away from those 11s just because I don't know why I do. And then I see you use them coupled with this half Tila, and
Mm,
they're
yeah.
just, they're just good,
Yeah, they're yummy. They're yummy. Now, if you asked me to use a 15, I would say I'm going to start quilting or I'm going to start knitting. But an 11 is my jam.
Yeah.
I like them for when I'm doing stringing and I want a spacer bead. The 11 is my go-to bead.
Mhm.
And so the first thing I pick is my 11s. And then I also wanted to, because I haven't done this for a while, I wanted to incorporate some semi-precious. And of course, there's the amethyst. And then I gravitated to the clear quartz because there's something about the clarity of the air in Provence when I've been there. It's so clear. The skies are so blue. And it just, if you look back, I bet I could show you that almost every spring is when I make something in purple.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Purple and yellow.
Now
So,
there is a project map on this map on a project map on this project. Leslie's asking, but I want to walk you guys through this, which I think I'm going to get a little tighter here with the camera. Now, Janice, you happen to start this one at the beginning with this wheel, correct? The
I
wheel
do.
button
I usually start a ladder bracelet with the button.
with the
Yes.
button. Now, I'm going to go through each of these sections and then we're going to talk about them a little bit. But I want you to see out there the simplicity of this design. So these are 6mm quartz. these are those 11/aughts stacked
Mhm.
in fours.
Mhm.
So it's the same height as that 6/aught. And you did your tapering up and
Right.
tapering back using this mustard color.
Mhm.
Now, if we cover this, this is a perfectly beautiful wrap just on its own, right?
Mm. I
I
like to
it's
think so.
right,
I
it's
like to
simple, it's beautiful, and I think that the 6/aughts, especially these quartz to me almost act like little magnifiers of joy. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. No,
You
you're
know,
right. You're
there's
right.
something very, very vintage about just a clear crystal quartz bead. And I've been thinking a lot about metalsmithing and kind of what I'm going to tackle next in my metal world. And the thing that a lot of people, not a lot of people, I have done in the past is I've used like clear quartz cabochons or sheets of mica to kind of um, amplify,
Mhm.
the whatever is behind it. So I
Mhm.
feel like these are just little tunnels. I don't know. It's
It's
really,
true.
really
Yeah.
interesting. My mom is asking about thread, so hang on there, Mom. We're gonna get to thread in just a second. Let's look at this section here, which
Okay.
you've transitioned from here. Now this one is a longer section, and you can
Right.
see, you guys, how Janice has used kind of the tried and true color block and mirror kind of trick that she uses. And I think it's very clever. Sometimes when I'm making a wrap bracelet and I am totally under the gun, what a surprise. I am so like, I had to get this finished yesterday and I had to get it declared a photograph, et cetera, et cetera. So I make like half of it and I'm like, and now I've run out of ideas. A really good, I think, design trick and a way to kind of let you create the first half and then mirror the second half and have a really good balanced visual impact is by just starting with this color blocking. I mean, and I know how you design, Janice. You did this section until you were done.
Mhm.
Then you did those equal pieces until you were done. And then you thought, well, I like this, right? Correct me if
Mhm.
I'm wrong, but I'm going to repeat it here.
Mhm.
Then I need a stopper. I need a
Mhm.
visual rest, and then I'm going to mirror it. And it's, again, this would be a really nice wrap just on its own. That looks great.
So the first section, Kate, should be, and I measured on my own wrist, the first one with the rock, with the clear crystal,
Mhm.
should just about be one wrap around
One
your
wrap,
wrist.
correct.
And
Mhm.
then, if I'm not mistaken, the next section is, I
Two
think it
wraps.
was twice the length.
Yeah, and
Um,
you need it to
just,
fit you.
just,
It's a little, for me, a little
yeah.
less than twice, but that's where you're going with it, right? So this would
Yeah,
be
and I'm
two.
always trying it on. I'm always seeing,
Mhm.
can I see the repeat again? What does
Right,
it look like next to each other? So
right,
even if it's not your necessary for your length, if you put it on your wrist, you'll see the patterns start talking to each other. And that's
exactly,
one of the things I love.
exactly. And I really like how you did not shy away from semi-precious in this piece.
Mm.
That
Mm-mm.
because we haven't put semi-precious in a wrap in a while, and I really love the way it looks. Then
Mm-hmm.
you came in and you repeated that first section again.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have these two sections, this section that's mirrored. And so here's your first one, two, three, and four.
And you could stop right there and
Yeah.
make
It would be
a
great.
loop and be done with it. And
And be done.
I just
Yeah.
went you know me and wrap bracelets, I can't stop. And this is a 6 wrap,
Yeah,
and
this is a six.
it's really a chunky monkey. It's really
Right?
it's
It's
really a
not.
good, yeah. It's
So here are those three wraps together.
yeah.
But you decided that you wanted to add like a coda to this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love how you continue on with this section here. And I love the use of the white. It
Mm.
really pops everything. But you added, this is on Greek leather, 1.5 millimeter. This is
Mhm.
a new bead that we've got in, everybody, and I don't know why we have not carried it
No.
before. It's the metallic patina iris, and it's a big favorite around here. We finally added it in 6, and that's what you used here after you transition, literally under a transition.
Mhm.
These two, and correct me if I'm wrong, these two strands continue here, and you added another, or did you add your strand in the middle? Do you remember?
I added the strand in the middle.
In the middle. Okay. And you can kind of see that this leather is coming here under the transition. It
Yeah.
comes out here, and you added that center strand so
Right.
you can use that as your ladder, and it all connects just underneath here.
Mhm.
And then did you ladder first and then do this kind of what we call
Yes.
the
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Mhm,
I needed more inform before I knew what I wanted to put on the single strand. I
mhm,
did the laddering, and then I thought about it, and I said, you know, I feel like I need a little more green.
mhm,
Um, and so I added, you know, the 6-2008, the metallic
mhm,
patina.
mhm,
I do want to ask anyone out there that if they see that we don't carry a favorite seed bead in a size that you like,
mhm,
please email us and say, hey,
mhm,
can you carry this in 11 or in Tila or in half
mhm,
Tila? Because we can get it in. So,
mhm. We sure can. And one of the things someone mentioned earlier, you could also add a chain in between.
you
And
could.
so I grabbed a chain. We were reading each other's minds, really. Um, and we were, so I was thinking something like this to add. I don't know, you could add it here however you wanted to do it, like a little, you could do a loop with the leather and attach your chain or something like that. But it's a way to start moving
Mhm.
around, moving into kind of using this ladder technique and incorporating your own likes into it.
You
Um,
could add it with couldn't you add it with a jump ring? Like
you
right
could
between
simply,
those, a
yeah,
jump ring all the way around the transition
you
so it
could,
looks really intentional.
yeah, right there, you could add
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And you could cut it on either side however you wanted to do it. Or you could also, like in your color study, Janice, I'm looking for
Mm-hmm.
that we have
Yeah.
here where we've laddered the wheat chain into the piece. Here's, is this it? Here's something like it. This one's doubled over, but you can ladder your chain
Right.
into it too, which
Mm-hmm.
was really interesting. This is the paperclip chain. Someone asked. This is the medium paperclip right here. So then you did that same patterning and mirroring technique
Mm-hmm.
here.
I do it all the time.
It's a really great design hack, I think. Then when you tried it on, JP, you realized you needed a little more room,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
thought that this was just a really clever kind of a little design extra, but this actually had a purpose.
Yeah, well, I think that anyone who wants to use that idea, like, oh my goodness, I'm just a little short. What should I do? Do anything.
Yeah. So you needed maybe another, this measures about an inch and a quarter
Yeah, just a
or
little
so.
bit. Yeah.
And you just use those 6/0 and strung them
Hmm.
on that Greek leather and then crimp that again.
Hmm.
This crimp, the transition wasn't large enough for you to go back around with all the strands and come back in. So you ended one, took one, or ended two, I think, right?
Yeah, it would have been too thick.
Mm-hmm. Macrameed that single loop all the way around, came back in, macrameed all of it together, and
Hmm.
then did a little bit of glue and burnt your
Hmm.
thread off here, which I think
And I
looks.
know you could probably sear it better. I can even see from here
No,
that
there
it
we
could
go.
be a, yeah.
I'll just do that. Sometimes it's
There
hard
we
to.
go.
There,
There we go.
here. I'm just going to hold it like that. Um,
Picked, as
but
Lizzie would say.
that's right. But
Yeah.
sometimes, I don't. I come back, and after the glue has really set,
Yeah.
you have to come back in and give it just a little, like, touch of the wand with your thread burner, and that'll take that. That'll take
Well, I
that.
left it there for you on purpose.
Oh, perfect. Exactly. And this is also, someone asked, is this macrame? It is macrame.
Yeah.
So you can see that it looks like you did two macrame sections
Yeah.
in
That's
between, which
it.
is
I
nice.
used Ceylon.
Nice.
It
Yeah.
was so simple.
Yeah. It looks
Easy
great.
peasy.
So let's talk about the threads, and we're going to talk
Okay.
about, and it's something we don't show often enough, how we attach this for infinity stitch
Mm-hmm.
using the KO. But before I talk about thread, I just wanted to show the difference. This was that azalea piece that I did a while back with
Mm-hmm.
with the 8/0, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to show you guys how the contrast between the 6/0 and the 11s and the 8/0 and the 6 mil. Okay. So you can see this is a 6 millimeter melon, and these are the 8/0 beads here. And here's Janice's 6 millimeter in the quartz with the 11/0. And you can see it really, it makes a difference. It almost makes, I think these 11/0 makes the 6 millimeters look a little bigger almost.
Mm.
You know, it's really,
The bracelet just looks chunkier.
yeah, it's really pretty. And it's the same size leather,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. But it really, just your bead choices just inform. And then you can see in this one, this azalea bracelet, I did kind of different short little sections. So, like you, when it wrapped, it didn't, nothing really lined up, is what I
Mm-hmm.
was going for,
Mm-hmm.
right? So kind of that same thing. And it's, again, it's a million wraps big.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, you're the master of your destiny when you make these pieces, for sure. So that's what I wanted to share. Choose your 11, choose your 8. This 6, I think, and the macrame is very pretty. Again, it would make just a nice simple bracelet on its own,
Mm-hmm.
or this doubled over strand would also make a nice wrap bracelet on its own that way. So let's talk about this connection
Mm-hmm.
right here, Janice. So
Okay.
what, talk about your thread choices and why you chose what you did while I get it all set up.
So I will start first with the needle. It's really important when you are using semi-precious beads, especially, the holes are not necessarily consistent compared to like Czech glass beads. So you have to try your needle, not just for the first section, but if you think you're going to add semi-precious like I was going to. I tried multiple needles. I first picked up the sharps because the sharps 10, because it's a nice sturdy little needle. I then picked up just because it wouldn't work. And you'll know if it doesn't work because if you start trying your beads and the first two or second or third bead, and then maybe the fifth or sixth, you keep hoping. I keep hoping that the needle will
Right.
work, and the
So
bead
I
is
saw
it
magic.
doesn't work. Is an
Yes.
anomaly and it's not, then you need to go to a thinner needle. And that's why I don't know if I can give you any better advice, but have multiple needle options in your bead studio. Even if you don't need it for a specific project, gift yourself uh, a size 10, a size 12, a
Mhm.
big eye needle, the sharps, which you like to use so
Mhm.
much, but have some needles, flexible, collapsible. Just when we're having a sale, put in an order for a bunch of different needles so that, like me, if you need it for a certain bead, you'll have it. Um, so you're looking. Okay, I want to also ask you, Kate.
Mhm.
You're, or I'll talk to while you're doing that. You're using the Indian leather, and
Correct.
this is. I'll share a little bit about this leather. It's it's all been certified by the government in India as um, being fair trade. It's not. It's they're using all parts of the animal for different kinds of whether it's the hides or it's for eating or whatever. It's not going out and killing an animal so that we would have some leather to string on. It's also natural dyes. And you're looking at the 1.5 there. That's what you're using, right? The
Mhm.
weather
That's
the
correct.
weathered basil or
This is the dark turquoise, actually. It's
okay.
one of the
And
new
then
ones that we added.
right. And then next to that is the Greek leather, which is when we first started the Beadshop, what we only carried was the Greek leather.
Mhm.
Not because we didn't want to carry Indian, but we had someone who brought us Greek leather and said, "You've got to carry this leather." It's very smooth. It's more like a fine Italian shoe leather than it is with any texture or nubbiness. It's very smooth, very consistent, uh, all one piece.
Mhm.
Uh, so sometimes, again, when you are buying leather, try some Greek leather. See if you like it. I I like it, but I also like the Indian leather.
Mhm.
So I couldn't tell you which I like better, but this time
Mhm.
I decided I haven't used it in a while. I'm going to use the Greek leather.
And I
Um,
like it. I sometimes, when I had my shop in San Francisco and I used to spool it, we used to just sell it right off these old vintage spools that I used to spool it on because I was so extra. I
curated. Yeah.
right, curated, right?
Yeah.
I loved this Greek leather because it was so high end. Is that the right term? I
Well, it
mean,
was so nice when you
yeah,
spool it to run
yeah,
your hand along it because
yeah,
it's like a negligee. It's just really smooth. There's
yeah,
no like bumps or buttons or zippers or anything. It's
yeah.
just
Great.
lovely to the touch.
I
Yeah.
love it. And so we may add a few colors. Unfortunately, the Greek leather, a few colors that we've really loved. This one of the staples of our Greek
Yeah.
leather collection, the sage,
Sage.
is
Oh,
no longer. So,
yeah.
but we're always looking for new and interesting colors.
Yeah.
So, pardon me. I have anything else about leather that you want to add, JP, before I
Just that the Indian leather comes in more sizes. The
in
Greek
more sizes? Yeah,
we can't get in 0.5 or 1 millimeter. So
right.
okay.
So this is the Ceylon that you used. You used fine. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. I used
Mhm.
fine. Because the
And
regular was just a little,
little too thick. Yeah, a
yeah.
little too heavy. And you
And
can
guess
see,
what? We didn't list it on the project page.
oh, perfect.
I will, while we're chatting away, I will text
Perfect.
uh,
Give
Drea.
Drea, our Drea's probably
Yeah.
by the phone going, really? What a surprise. But you can use, like, again, these designs that we curate for you, change up your colors to whatever color you love. So if you're like, yeah, maybe I don't want the purple Ceylon, maybe I want this to be more of a contrast and use blue or whatever. Use what works for you. But this is the medium, um, or the fine Ceylon, the medium size we carry, in the purple here.
Hmm.
So, but what you started here was you started with the infinity stitch and you used the purple KO, and
Yes.
you began by macrameing that
Hmm.
KO to begin, and then you started with the infinity stitch. So I want to show you how how we start with that. Now this is a shorter piece. I've just strung the
Hmm.
size 12 needle I have here, and I reeled off a bit of KO. I don't know if you waxed yours, Janice, but when I ladder with the KO, I like to wax to let those two strands sit as one. Okay, so I did that. Let me make that even. So they kind of hang together. But you
Hmm.
guys decide where you fall on that, for waxing. And then you just start macrameing. You have your needle on.
Right. Your needle is on the left side.
Okay, I'll switch
Right
it.
on the left side.
Okay,
No, right side, right side. I'm sorry, Kate.
that's all
Go to the
right.
right side
On the right side, because we're going to make our loop with the right side so that we don't,
first.
yeah, the
Yeah,
first loop, so that we don't have to pass the needle through the loop. We're always passing the tail through.
right,
So
right.
now take a look at this. The tail that I'm going to leave maybe 3 inches here
Yeah, be
ish.
generous with
Yeah,
yourself.
because you're going to have, and maybe actually even a little bit more, I'm going to give myself 4 inches because you're going to have to macrame with some of it and then weave in the rest.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me get a little tighter in here so you can see it. So here's with my flat macrame, I'm coming around. This is the needle side going from the right. So I'm going to make my loop and I'm going to go over the leather with my loop, and I've created that little loop so it looks like the letter P. Then I'm going to come and I'm going to go.
You usually do it the other way, so
I do, so it's
well
confusing me.
then turn it around and put the needle on the other side and
Thank
do
you.
it your way.
There we go.
Yeah.
So there's my loop. Oh, thank goodness. So this way is the Q side, but
Hmm.
isn't that funny how we get so used to doing it?
Yeah.
My hands were
Yeah.
like, no, you don't. So here's the loop. It's coming
Hmm.
across the leather. I take the tail, the one that does not have the needle. I go over the doubled KO under that center cord of leather and up through the loop. And
Hmm.
so here is that first macrame stitch that we use in just about everything, right? You can see I've attached it to this chain because there was chain here instead of grabbing a button. But Janice just did that right around the shank of the button. Okay.
Did we put it
So
on the wrong side, Kate?
what's that?
Did we start on the wrong side now that we turned you around? Do one
No,
stitch.
no,
We're
it
good?
doesn't matter. No, because I'll just end it on whatever stitch I want to. So I'm just going to keep going, right? So I'm going to make my loop to the right,
Mhm.
pass the tail under, and
All
tie it.
right. No, it's right. Yeah.
Okay. Make my loop. This is still the needle end, but
Mhm.
I'm not passing, I don't have to pass the needle through. All I have to do is pass the tail through.
Yeah,
And
it's such a pain.
I'm not going to have a lot to ladder with, but you're going to be happy about that because
Mhm.
I'm going to switch up my add thread so you can see that. So just macrame with that KO as long as you feel like it, right? Until
Yeah,
you.
I like to leave, if you were to put the button there, I
Mhm.
like to macrame a little longer till the, like, just to
Right.
reach the end
Just
of the button so that my beads are not going to clank up against the button and maybe
right,
crack.
right. So here we go. So I think Janice, were worried about, oh my gosh, is the needle going to end on the correct side?
Yeah, it
Just
does. Yeah.
end the needle on the side that you want to end it on, right? So if I
Mhm.
wanted to go to the right, if I infinity stitch from the right to the left, I'd just tie one more knot and my needle
Right,
would be on the right.
right.
So the finish of the paperclip chain is the antique copper is right here, is that's what it is. And the thread is KO doubled over. So now I just grabbed some 11 knots because it's what we had, and I wanted to
Mhm.
have a little bit of a contrast. So this is the 11-4248. And so let's go ahead and add our taper here at the beginning. 1,
Okay.
2 to 3 to 4. Okay. So this first one with the infinity, I like to start from the left and going to the right. Now remember that the first stitch of your infinity stitch is always a little different than everything else. So see how I'm coming up from behind. I get my index finger, I pull open those cords. I kind of push that 11-aught up, not as far as it can go, but until it sits where you want it to sit. And now I'm going to go back through that 11. This size 12 needle certainly feels different.
Mhm.
Through. I like it. I haven't used a 12 since
Mhm.
Emily sat beside me and said,
Mhm.
use a 12. What are
Mhm.
you doing? And
And
then
this bead sets the tone
it does.
for the rest of the laddering. So one of the things you do want to make sure is that once you've got this bead in position, that the two pieces of leather are graduating up equally, that one doesn't seem to have more of a bump than
Right.
the
On the
other
side.
side, because
That's
that's,
exactly right.
yeah,
That'll make it,
it just looks weird. Kind of,
yeah,
it looks,
not quite right.
so you're doing it double, Kate, to
I am.
reinforce it and make sure it's not gonna pop out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I've gone um, over the leather on the right hand side and then under the leather.
Mhm.
I want to make sure that this isn't twisting funny, which it actually is. It looked a little weird to me. I went under the opposite direction. So let me fix that. There we go. And I want to just come under, actually not inside, but from the outside. There we go. And I want to go through my bead like so. Because as you say, this first bead sets the tone. So we want to make sure everything is right. Sometimes
Mhm.
with this first one, I kind of have to adjust that little extra thread as I pull it through. So now we are in position and ready off to the races.
Mhm.
So here I go underneath and I am ready to start again. So now I'll pick up 2. And yes, Ceylon and KO are both used in this project. The infinity stitching, what I'm doing here, I'm using a double strand of the KO. I'm using it doubled. And the loops and macrame sections, that Janice used. She used the the Ceylon in fine. Now see how I just dipped my needle underneath right here? And that's when I pull it. So I do it almost in one big movement. So see, there's my 2. Let's do it again. And the thread ends up on the left-hand side underneath this left-hand leg of the leather, so that when I pick up my 3 beads, 1, 2, and 3, I go under, see that there? The right-hand side of the leather. Pop them into place over the right hand, put them back through, trying not to split those threads, which is why the waxing helps. See how I pull on this thread to keep the tension? And as I tighten the needle, that loop just closes up. So we're almost there with our stack of 4. If you're using, say, 4-millimeter beads, probably that stack of, well, you use 2. A stack of 2 with 4 millimeters looks nice. So whatever you're using, just make these beads the right length. So see how my thread is above, so I need to dip my needle below. And we have a great handout and many videos that talk about this infinity, but it never hurts to methodically plod through it one more time, right?
So what I like to say is a little, maybe some of you out there who may have, like, you're not necessarily getting it. When Kate gets back to the beginning side, I'm going to just share what I say, which is a little different than, and also when you are giving that tension with your right finger, you're also keeping the threads from twisting.
That's right.
Okay, so go back under like you do.
Dip my needle. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now what I say is, it doesn't matter what bead you're going to put on, but I say over and
Over
then under.
and under, right. So I'm going to put
And
my
then
bead
you're going to go over and under. That's all
and
this is.
over
Mm-hmm.
this thread and under
Mm-hmm.
the right. And now I come back and I go over
Over,
the right thread and under
under.
the left thread.
And if you can't get the under as you go back because the needle won't bend or something, bring
Mm-hmm.
it all the way over and then pop it under. But
Exactly.
you'll know right away if you forget to go under and around. You'll look at it, and that's when if you're done with your wrap bracelet, go, why is that bead popping out? Why is
Yeah.
that row popping out?
Because,
And
yeah.
yeah.
And let me show you what that looks like. So let's say that I didn't go under here and I just, I didn't go over first. I just went under and I'm coming in. See how
You
it
just,
pulls
yeah.
there? So it needs to go over that strand, then my 4 go, then my needle dips under.
Mm-hmm.
And now my needle comes over the right hand side, through those little gems, and under the left. Okay. And if your needle, if your threads aren't lined up perfectly, you can use the tip of your round nose plier, or like what I have here, this little toothpick, or your awl, or whatever it is. Sometimes you just need a little helping hand to help you do that, like that. So I'm going to taper this down now. I've done this 4. So I'm going to go to the 3.
The tiniest bracelet.
The world's tiniest bracelet here. Add to the tiny bracelet club. But you can decide how much, how long you want these sections to be. I like how when I do this short section like this, that it sort of comes out looking like an eyeball, sort of. It looks a little bit
Well,
like an eye,
they
which.
used to be eye beads are known for bringing protection.
Mm-hmm,
And in many cultures, for thousands of years, they would put something that looked like an eye or a
mm-hmm,
round with a dot on it. They would put that on a string or a
mm-hmm,
shell with a dot on it
mm-hmm,
around a baby's neck because it
mm-hmm,
would protect the baby from, bad omens or from,
mm-hmm.
spirits or whatever. They didn't have penicillin in those days.
No. Did you
No.
know that that is one of the things I'm allergic to?
Really? I didn't know that.
That is a fun Kate fact. Not only was I a Gilroy Garlic Princess, I am allergic to penicillin. Two Kate facts.
Do you wear one of those bracelets?
I should. I have it in my wallet.
Oh, great.
So, and now in my Apple Watch, which I'm kind of loving. So here's
Mm.
our little eye. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
this,
I think
so
it's great.
so next, what you did, Janice, and this is where I can add thread if I want to here. So let's
Mhm.
say that I've made this whole long thing, okay, and it's time. I've started to run out of thread, but I'm going to
Right.
continue to use this KO, okay.
Mhm.
So there's a couple of things that you could do here. You could, if you were coming up to the end and you knew you didn't have enough, you could just add your KO and macrame over it, right? But if
Right.
you were in the middle of a section like this, what you would do is I would just take my needle and I would weave, and I'm going to show you how I do this. I would weave this thread, and this is so thin that you can't really see it if it goes around the leather, but I might not even go around the leather. I might just see here how I'm laddering up. Let me get a little tighter in here. See how you can kind of, whoops.
I don't usually go around the leather anymore.
Yeah, you
Um,
just go in and, whoops, this flipped over. You just weave
yeah,
it kind of like seed bead weaving, right?
right.
Yeah, that's usually what I
I
do too.
I found that when I go around the leather, even though the thread is thin, that thickening of the thread is more noticeable than not going around the
Right.
leather.
I
I
agree
had to
with that.
choose.
So let me show you here with the 3. I could, well, I'll do it in the next one. I'll come up here. I'll go to that 3. And now I'll go to this 4. And I'll stop in the middle right there. And that's where I'll clip it.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'll do this sometimes under tension. Of course, I don't have any thread snips here, so I'm just going to use my wire cutters. But I'm going to pull on that thread under tension and clip, just like that. Okay.
I didn't believe this worked the first time I saw Emily do it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I tried it myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that whether it's going up or going up and then making a little square around the beads and coming back down, your thread really does not come out.
No, it doesn't. It's like a seed bead stitch. It's
Mhm.
like you're stitching that out. So now we also have to deal with this thread up here.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that. Let me see if I can get both of these through. You could also move to a larger needle for this, but I'm
Or
going to
you
see
could do one at a time.
you could. I'm, I'm going to show off and see if I can do it. Probably
Okay. Okay.
you could just do, I'm going to flatten these down. I'm going to wax them and flatten them
Okay. I'm just going to watch Sammy sleep while you
while while
do that.
while while paint dries here.
Yeah.
But see how I've waxed that together. And let's see if I can needle that thread. This eye is small, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Wow.
There it is. There we go.
Wow.
Well, that's why you
Yeah.
pay the big bucks
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So we can just weave this in.
Yeah.
I can just come in under and see here how I might just come in under this weaving and just maybe stop right before that first stitch. Can you see that there? And I'll pull it through. I need a little help pulling that.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. No shame in the using the plier game there. Now I'll send it through that loop. If you had a button, you could send it through the button shank, but I'm not going to. I don't know if that would actually be a help or a hindrance. So I'm going to come back down and I'll send it back down that macrame. And since I ended it, see, there's like a little tiny stitch there that you can't see, right? So when you come back down, it's not going to pull all the way back down. And that's it. You could add a little bit of glue or something there, but I'll come in. And again, under tension, trying not to clip your macrame, just the KO. I'm going to clip it.
So, Kate, how long have you been sewing?
Since
When
I was
did you?
5.
Okay, so did you start? You started sewing before you started beading.
Well, yes and no. I also beaded, like seed beaded. My mom had a stash of like these seed beads in her drawer
Mm-hmm.
that I would make little woven rings with wire. I do have dexterous hands. That is part of my talent, is that my hands will do what I tell them to. I'm pretty dexterous with my fingers, pretty nimble.
Mm-hmm.
But a little bit of practice, however it works for you.
Mm-hmm.
I do make
Well,
look
people who
my job.
crochet or people who
Mhm.
quilt or, like you have like sewing skills
I do. I have
that
skills.
instinctively you go, okay, I'm going to go up 2/3 of the way, then I'm going to bring it out, then I'm going to go back in and around. You know, every time, because I'm not really a sewer, a little bit. People ask me to sew buttons for them.
Mhm.
I do get that. Um, but it's interesting to see how you ended that up and through the stitches.
Yeah, because it's just a
I
little,
just
because it
learned
needs,
something.
well, it just needs a little bit of a stopper there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's what'll hold. And you can always, before you pull your thread through to its final destination, right when you've got a little bubble of thread, that's where you could add your GS hypo cement with your little toothpick just there, and then pull
Right.
that thread through. That GS will slide down in underneath that, right? And that's it, and then it'll be glued under there. But I'm not really worried about the gluing. So
Mm-hmm.
now I have strung another double strand, and I'm going to come in and maybe I'm a convert for these 12s, especially with these 11-aughts.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, it's been too long since I've seed beaded with Emily, I think. So, but I did talk to her on the phone. I know I'm
Mm,
confusing you guys with Emily, but I promise she promises. She's just had, she's had
mhm,
been it's been kind of a quite a year for our Emily.
mhm,
Everything is good and she's fine, but changes were afoot and she just needed some time to settle. Um,
mm.
but she's well and happy and she promises. And if you go on the beat table on our group and you make one of her things and tag her, she always responds. So that's a good way to engage with her. Was that a cat sneeze?
Yes,
Like
that was Sadie.
that's
2 nights ago,
a cat
I
sneeze.
went out I went out to the sun porch because they're indoor cats, but I went out to the sun porch and I didn't see either of the cats. So I closed the door and it was actually a cold night. And in the morning, Sadie was outside all night on the
Oh
porch.
no, poor baby.
I know, I'm a terrible cat mother,
Well,
but
sometimes
I
that
think they have fallen in love with heating pads.
yes.
Oh, I've got them everywhere.
Is the heating pad. I am looking for the transition that I so carefully brought over here and now have completely lost,
Mm,
because I want to show you guys how to um, add some thread. So you know what we're going to do? Where did it go? Is it?
mm,
Oh, here it is. I left it right here. Gosh. Um, so here, the GS Hypo is the glue. Tish is asking about the GS. So we
mhm,
use GS, Trish, whenever I want my thread to stay flexible. So if I am gluing a knot closed or anything like that, that's when I'll use the GS. If I want to stiffen what I'm doing, like stiffening the ends of cords or gluing a cord into a crimp end or something like that, that's when I'll use Zap glue. Okay. Um, so this is where you added. So let me show you how we would add to this section here. So you'd keep going, do your thing,
mhm.
and then you'll put on your transition. Whoops, wouldn't you know, there's a knot in here. Janice, people are being so kind. They are so happy to see you and I together
Oh,
on
I
this.
know.
It's always a
I
lot.
love doing a show with you.
It's so much fun. I will tell you guys, and many of you know this while I prepare all of this together. Many of you know this that I started back in 1992 at the Beadshop, and Janice had been open 10 years since 1980.
Mhm,
And ever since then, through bead thick and thin,
mhm.
we have journeyed, traveled a long bead road together, that's for sure.
Sing it,
So,
sister.
yeah, that's right. That's right. And one of our dear friends who used to work with us, our friend Winnie, that's who I was speaking with this morning. She's the one who was responsible for hiring me at
Mhm.
Beadshop so many years ago. Janice was on vacation. She was in Portugal. So I did not meet Janice until I was actually hired for the Palo Alto shop. So it was there I was. She came back from Portugal, and there I was stocking the seed beads. Um, so I have set this up. I don't know if you were going to say if you were going to say
I
something.
was, but it was such a long whole thing about the Renaissance and having so many talented people all at once. It was a harmonic convergence
It
of
was.
just
It was.
great
Those were
talent.
on
Kim
days,
Anderson and Rita
and
Lee and
Lee and Janine,
yeah.
who is one of my dear Facebook friends now, and So many of those.
Yeah.
We should do that on a free tip Friday, Janice, to celebrate our 40 years. I keep saying it, but I have a lot of clips, some of our archive things.
Yes.
We will schedule a free tip Friday, a walk down memory lane for those of you
I love it.
who want to hear the real meat and potatoes behind our journey. So I don't know how you pulled yours together, JP, but this is how I would do it, and I'd like you to kind of share how you set this up. The thing is, when you're macrameing, you guys, and when you're adding something like this, tension, I think, is key, or good connection to the board. So let me lift this camera just a little bit more so you can see how everything here is connected. It's a little far away, but I'll pull it back down when I get closer. So here's where the button, or in this case, the chain, is here, nice and tight. Here is the two original strands that I came out from, right? I clamped one of those down so it's tight. So this is the one that I'll probably eventually do that macrame, single macrame strand around. And then this is the strand that I need to macrame up at the top and do my infinity stitch with. So I got my clamper, I put my little cord underneath that transition, got my clamper, so I clamped these flat. And I don't really need to clamp this to the board. I think that this will hold everything okay. So now I'll come back down, and I've got my double strand here. And I'm going to clamp this even further away. I'm going to put it over here. Maybe I will.
Kate, how come you're not securing the bead first? Why aren't you doing the trend?
That's a real, you mean clamping that?
Flattening. Yeah, crimping it. What are you waiting for?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I like options. I don't know why I don't. But you crimp this down, right?
Yeah, and I also, to make it easy on myself, to make sure that the leather was all the way through the crimp bead and would really adhere to it, I brought the leather up enough that I could cut a little bit of it later.
Okay. Sure. All right.
But I guess you could, no, it's okay. As long as you see it peeking out a little bit, you can go back with your magic marker and just color it if you need to.
I'm going to do as you did. So there's a bit of a piece there.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know. Maybe that's just an irrational fear that, oh my gosh, if I go ahead and crimp this, it's done. I don't know. So I'm just going to crimp it.
It just seems so hard not to crimp it.
Yeah. Okay.
And go, like we want to tell everyone, go gently.
Right.
If you push too much too fast with that plier, I just don't want it to crack the plier. Yeah.
So see where I set it? See, I set that crimp back in the fat part of the plier, and then I just gently, these fingers kind of help it. I just give it a gentle hug, and then I'll come back in, flip it around, do that other side, gentle hug. And it's true, Janice, now I don't have to be so careful about, oh my gosh, this is going to come out. I guess I've committed. So there it is. So now I am able to bring these two kind of straight like this together, and I will macrame. So if you have
I know what you're saying, that you want to make sure you're not going to need to put the seal on back through, or
whatever.
No, I understand. It seemed like it was very fragile, and I couldn't understand why you couldn't just cut it.
Yeah.
I mean, crimp it.
Crimp it, right. No, you're right. Crimp, make it
easy.
short. Yeah, make it easy. Sometimes I like to over convolute.
No, you've always got another trick.
Well,
it's true.
So here's my first little macrame, and I'll slide it up. And I also think, though there is room here, I can still get a needle along the side. I was worried about this tail too, I think, a bit about what am I going to do with this? I can just stitch it down underneath my macrame and stitch it into the beads. I could get it up there and stitch it into those beads. So I don't need to worry. I'm just going to follow your lead and just crimp it. Now, you could, like I did in that kind of Kate's favorite expansion one that I did, this is our transition crimp bead, the one we call transitions. We also have one that we call evolve, and the evolve will accommodate 4 strands across. Right. So if you wanted another like single strand here, so you had 2 2 ladder channels, you would use the evolve. You'd use the bigger one.
Right.
So now this is just macrame here. Remember the thread that I used up here? I just wove it back up into those beads. I'm going to do one more here. And now I will I'll finish it. So, because I want to ladder from my left to my right. So I'm going to make sure that I stop. Now I could, if I wanted, if I had my GS sitting here, I could simply just stop, put a little bit of GS here over the leather, macrame a couple of times over that GS so it kind of soaks into this KO. Get a little more of that here, let it dry overnight, and then thread burn this down. But this thread is so thin that I think I feel better weaving it back in, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay. Yeah. Christine says, I think Kate just likes to keep her options open. That is in pretty much everything in my life. That is how
Is this your Christine?
No, Christine Whitney.
Oh, okay. Oh, Christine.
Yes. So people know us from watching us this long. So here's this where we would just start
repeating this. Yeah.
Repeating. Okay. And so we'll do that. And then what you did for the other side, and I'm not going to even ladder that in. You've seen it. Then you're going to switch and you're going to bring this strand to the fore. And this is where those 6/0 really come into play. So this 1.5 millimeter leather here, these 6/0 just string right on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now there are some leathers that are also the same size, but they have the color lacquered on, and so that it's just a little bit thicker.
Like I have one here, this silver.
Yeah. So you might have to angle cut it, or just you've got enough beads to choose. Yeah.
So see how I'd angle cut that right there? And then I'd come in and see how those go on. Angle cutting, don't discount the magic of angle cutting those threads. I'm telling you. Because these are the same size. These are both 1.5 millimeters, and see the difference in size.
Yeah.
So the magic of an angle cut.
Maybe the Angle Cut Society of America could hire you as the ambassador.
Maybe, perhaps, the angle cut. That's right. Are you talking about my 12th grade haircut or our latest beading extravaganza? So I'm going to just grab, this is fine Ceylon and cocoa or whatever it is, right? And we're going to do this just like you would do poetry, the poetry project. we would come in, I'm going to cut a length. This is a much shorter length than you would actually do. And you just start, find the center, and we're going to macrame. And I've connected this down to the board here, right? So this is tight, and this will just kind of go out of the way there. I'm using this deep dish, but you could also use the macrame board if you wanted to as well. You know, they both work, or whatever you like to ladder with. But I'll I'll have a little bit of a leader on here just to kind of get a little bit of space. I don't know how many you did. You did a few, so I'll do a few. And like you were saying, Janice, the regular Ceylon was just a hair bulky, right?
Yeah, I think it looks more balanced with the 8/0. With
Yeah,
the 11/0, I think it's just a little too heavy.
yeah, I agree. So just go as far as you want to go, like that. And then slide up your bead. And then you want to be kind of consistent. So I'm going to tie 1, 2, and see sometimes that first one, let me get a little tighter so you can see it a little bit better. That first one loosens. So I'll come in, tighten it, and then immediately tighten the knot below it. And that usually takes care of it. So that was 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Now we'll slide up our bead. And 1, whoops, that guy says I want to go 2. 1, this Cocoa Ceylon looks really pretty with that bead.
It's such a great neutral.
Yeah, it really is. That was 2, this is 3, and this is 4. But you can use however many knots you want to do in between. Awesome. Whatever seed bead color you want to use, awesome. Just know that it's the 1.5 millimeter leather and the 6/0 bead.
And it could also be a different amount of knots in between each bead.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you could do 2 together. You want to show 2 together?
Here's 2. It's at the end of the spool, so the Ceylon's a little. So here's the 2. That didn't tie correctly. So here's the 2. There we go. So that's 1. This is 2. And again, if it loosens, tighten it up and then immediately follow it with your other knot that's already tied. That's 3. And this is 4.
I like the 2.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Let's do one more section of that before I get too far down the row. There's 1.
I love the way the patina beads, the matte metallic patina, they are so many different colors.
Yeah, they add a lot of depth to this design. It's real pretty. Well, we've got some new beads that are, I like the 2 as well. It's very pretty. And you could alternate the 1 and the 2 would also look good. We've got some new beads that we're debuting this month. You'll see a lot of new releases coming from us. And we've got some really nice finishes. One of the things I wanted to mention, we did restock all of our roller beads. They just got restocked yesterday. If you're watching this live, that would have been yesterday, May 10th. And so a bunch of them, we are now selling them by the strand instead of individually. So you'll have plenty of roller beads to work with. We still have a few that are outstanding. And, I wanted to mention, when you find your favorite bead, right now, especially since the pandemic, these different finishes, now more than ever, when they're out. And even if we still see them on our supplier's website, even if they still say, they're coming, it may be months, and it will say on our website, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. We also have on our website a little notify me button right by the product. So you can add your email, and as soon as that product goes back into stock, that'll trigger an email that'll get sent out to you guys. Don't wait, because if you're on that email list, that means that everybody else is on that email list, especially if it's for something that's super popular. So we're really trying not to disappoint you guys on purpose. So if there are beads that we've been out of, like some of the rollers, not everything got restocked because not everything was available to us. So we're not trying to disappoint you on purpose, I promise. We are just trying to keep them in for you as best that we can. So use that wish list feature and use that notify feature so that when that email comes to you and to everyone else who's on that waiting list, jump on there and just place yourself a little order so that you've got them in your stash if that's something you really, really want. We really are doing our best to try and keep those all in stock. Cindy Brooks said something, and Cindy, you're kind of reading our minds, and I'm going to put this on there. Cindy asks, hi JP, circling back to earlier, she'd love to see more colors in the True 2 or the 2 millimeter.
Cindy,
Yep.
I call it ESPN.
Yes. You're reading our minds.
You read it, yes.
So stay tuned for later in the
channel.
summer for that. Yeah. And then Gita has a question. Any date for when Love of Lydia will be back in stock? You're also reading our minds. We should have it back in stock, knock wood, this week. So when you see that email notification, get it. Because as my dear friends, partners in crime in the Great Bead Extravaganza, everyone was so excited that I did that expedition project that everyone has been out of it. Everyone. You cannot find that chain for love or money, but it's coming back. We have a ton on order. So jump.
You're also, aren't you relaunching the bracelet again?
We are. So we're going to have 2, and I'm going to actually, Janice, put you and I back up here so people.
Okay, but wait a second. Let me get my clothes back on.
No, okay, perfect.
I'm just kidding.
Yes. Oh my God, hilarious.
I'm just kidding.
There we go. I love it. Let me remove this.
So there's Sammy back there.
There's our Sammy.
You see him?
I see him.
Little heated ledge.
Oh, his ledge. And I have a couple of more questions that I'm going to answer.
Okay.
So we are relaunching, yes, we're going to relaunch the Sally and the Junko kits. I have almost everything together. Those kits, I'm telling you, you guys loved them, and it wiped out the supplier's supply. So that supply is trickling back in. So you'll see those in an upcoming few weeks. Curtis also asked about projects to celebrate Pride. I think that is a great suggestion. In July, we're actually going to be taking a little bit of a vacation. There's going to be a little bit more about that coming down the pike. But I will have some pre-recorded things for you guys. And I may or may not, I cannot confirm or deny that there'll be something great for Pride. But here at Beadshop, we celebrate that Pride every day. So, but thank you, Curtis, for asking. All right. I think that's everybody's questions. You can find this. So let me do my banter here. You can find, of course, all of the information on the project and the products from today's broadcast right on our website. And this one, Janice, you called Dreaming of Provence, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken.
Yeah.
It's right, if you're watching us live, you can see it right on the front page of our website. And also, you guys sign up for our newsletter for the latest discounts, giveaways, and new products. This May, the rest of May, we are going to be having so much fun stuff coming down. Cindy Brooke asked, will the May monthly mix be back in stock? It will not, actually. I'm sorry. That one went real quick. So quickly. But we have a beautiful one for June coming, so stay tuned. But there is the recipe, so you can order the individual tubes for that.
And
Um,
didn't you do equal parts?
yeah,
Didn't
it's
you
all
do
equal
equal
parts.
parts?
It's all equal parts. So you can just put them all in, mix it around. And we've got some stuff happening in June, so don't worry. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about what's happening. We've got some exciting things coming in June, so don't worry. We've got all kinds of great stuff coming down for you. So I guess that's it. Happiest of birthdays again to you tomorrow, JP.
Thank you.
Celebrate with joy, and everyone is saying that wishing you the happiest of birthdays.
Thanks, everybody. This is
Happy
wonderful.
birthday. I will be back with you on Friday, and I cannot confirm or deny that it's going to be something special that you're going to love. So, cagey. I don't know. You'll see it. You're going to love it. It may or may not be a flash sale.
I have no idea, of course. I'm just,
You're going to love it.
yeah,
And check out the new rollers. We've got some new rollers that are coming down too. Those are going
yeah.
to be launched in a couple of weeks. So anyway, so that's that. Thank you, Janice. Thank you for this beautiful project. We love it.
You're welcome.
Thanks to all of you guys out there for watching, because without you out there support, with your support and your shares and your likes, all of that on our social media and on our website, we would not be able to be here doing what it is that we love for
Very true.
the past 40 years. So thank you
Yeah.
so much. Janice, I'll talk to you in probably 10 minutes, and I'll see all of you on Friday for our Free Tip Friday. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye all.
you.